I'd like to invite our next speaker to this stage. This has become a good friend of mine, former Chief Reginald Bellerose from Muskowekwan First Nation. He's just been such a champion of this carbon cause, and it was the one that helped me see that doing this together is our way to go further, is that as individual nations, as individual landowners, and even as companies, working together actually is a better way to achieve this. So, Chief, I would invite you to this stage. Chief was involved in I'll call it a trade mission. He might have a more eloquent word, to Washington a while ago, and it really struck me about the conversations that are happening outside of my local circle and what the Chief experienced when he was in the U.S. And so we've invited Chief Reginald Bellerose here today to talk to a little bit more about what he saw, what he sees, and I'll turn the stage over. Thanks, Chief. Do you need help with that? No, I'm good.
Thank you. Greetings. Me with an iPad to speak, that's strange, but such important work. I want to capture correctly what we did down there. So greetings to everybody that's here. I want to acknowledge Darcy with his words that he spoke. I was going to say exactly what Darcy said, but I better try and mix it up a bit. So I see Rupin here. I'll share a little story. I get these medallions sent to me, different people, and they say, make sure and wear it. And yeah. So Rupin asked me, how'd you get the horsehair? So I said, well, I was driving in my truck and I seen a horse. Son of a gun, I needed horsehair. So I jumped out and I ran beside a galloping horse with a scissors. I said, I cut his mane, so that's how I get my horsehair. So there was a trip to Washington, D.C., and Sheldon is here. He's the CEO that helped arrange this trip, and part of what we wanted to share is that who we are as First Nations people. So governments go down, governments go around, and they're saying, yeah, there's First Peoples here, and this is what they like. So rather than having someone go and speak for us, Saskatchewan government or Canadian government, there was a delegation set up to go down where we could speak for ourselves. So today is 2023. We don't need anybody speaking for us. We're very capable of doing that on our own. So when you have tables or boards or something, don't assume that you got to speak for the First Peoples of the land. They can do that very well on their own, and great speakers. So I wanna preface this with this little what I seen down there. And I was first elected in 2005 when times were very different. So it's called Changing Times. I wrote it when Chief Wapas was nearby and Chief Kevin Mercury, and they said, what are you doing? I want to capture what we're doing here so I can share with others. It's called Changing Times. The winds are blowing the Indian sails. Waters are far more calm today. Winds do not recognize any line or border. The 49th parallel is insignificant to the winds and to the Indian people, the First Peoples of this land. The winds are blowing doors open that were once slammed shut. Hands up to the leaders who led during the harsh times of no access and no care from the delegates on the other side of the table. Today's Ottawa and Washington doors are open and peoples greet leaders with smiles and open arms. How beautiful the Indian winds blow. Leaders of the big political offices are now prepared to meet with our leaders. Any energy transition, food sovereignty, market security, and protection have forced these leaders to sit and meet with chiefs. Our time has come in these changing times. So just share a little bit about what the new reality is. And it's about our rights. So you hear of the treaty rights, September 15th, 1874. That's really important. But what led us to that negotiation for Muskowekwan was our inherent rights, not our treaty rights. And those that are scientists, and you see linear and all of that, what that means is when you go down in the ground, as far as you can go, the remains you find will be ours. There's nobody else that you'll find below us. So that's the inherent rights we bring. No man, no government give us that. the Creator give us those rights. So when we go down and we look, and you'll hear, what's all this First Nation against resources development? It's that we've been left out of the equation. So here, where we are in Treaty 6, Treaty 4, where some of us are from, that resources is unfinished treaty business. The September 15th, 1874 was for surface only to clear the way for settlement. Now that we're here, everyone says, well, how come the Indians don't want this, they don't want that? So when you hear Crown Royalty means we should be at the table. So how Saskatchewan got that through 1930 NRTA is Ottawa transferred those to them, just say, here you go. Well, we weren't even there. So just to give a little snapshot of why, as we move into critical minerals, why do we have to be at the table and part of the equation? Is because of our inherent rights. And this room and others, there's been elders, a lot of them have passed on, there's chiefs in the room. We've heard it over and over and over. Inherent rights. Nations make treaties. Treaties don't make nations. And if we weren't nations, we wouldn't even be here. We would have been rolled over a long time ago. But we are nations. So just to get this table set so we can say, why are we in Washington? So critical minerals are defined as mineral resources that are essential to the economy and whose supply has the potential to be disrupted. So when we're down there, they're saying, okay, we want to transition away from fossil fuels. So Joe Biden's team says the lead on economic development, the lead on green energy, says that this Defense Act will fund projects either side of the border. So they've eliminated the 49th parallel. So now Canadian companies are considered domestic in that funding formula, in that envelope. So what Joe Biden's saying to his team is we don't want projects where they're coming in, taking everything and leaving the Indians with all the cleanup and the headache. We want the tribes and the nations to participate. The best way is through equity participation. So when you look at all of these lists, that what is going to help the battery, what is going to help the vehicles, what is going to help all of that, those minerals many of them are here in Saskatchewan. But then so are we. So there is a way to try to, in transition, for us to be included. So when you go to the next slide, there was, this is some of the delegation here. And this was, not everybody took their bonnet because some were worried they couldn't cross customs and get across the line, but we did have some leaders with the bonnets. So we presented to the penthouse, seeing if you're all paying attention. All right, the Pentagon. Oh, okay, I got your attention, thank you. The Pentagon, the White House, Energy, the Capitol building, we presented there, and you'll see a list of the meetings that we had. So what we went in and we presented that we are the first peoples, undeniable. We didn't sail over some ocean or didn't cross some bridge bare feet, what the history is teaching. We were put here. So as we go along, what the leaders were stressing is that we have rights. Look at us when you're determining where to deploy capital. That's what this all boils down to. So when you hear of lithium, nickel, cobalt, graphite, all of that, potash was delisted from critical minerals. But it's now, because of the world situation, the potash will be listed once again. So what are our interests? A lot of the interest down in the States was on the supply chain. Where could a place like the Center of Excellence, who's here for the 74 First Nations, the chiefs, to support any community, any nation wants to get into work with proponents or participate, that they would have a place to go, get some support, some capacity as the stewards of the land. And Sheldon has been doing a good job. He's supported by a board that's representative of all of Saskatchewan. And what was very interesting down there, I'll go right to slide 6. I'm not very good with the slides. And was we spoke about environmental sovereignty, political sovereignty, our borders, the 49th parallel, and we asked for assurances that when governments and proponents come to the United States, that they'll say, yeah, you know, we met the center of excellence. We understand that there's inherent rights. We're just doing this education and promotion piece to say that, because this place is very powerful. They set the policy, they set the tone for most of the world, and I think that we did a very good job. Some of the key outcomes over the 3 days is we made connections with the Department of Defense. We got an understanding on the DPA Title III program, the Defense Act, what type of resourcing they're putting in, how are they going to include First Nations, and for us, we let them know we don't want welfare. Take your welfare and shove it. We want jobs, we want opportunities, we want our people to participate, we want our young people to have something. That was really our message that we delivered. And, you know, for myself, it was quite an honor. As we started to go, I was prepared to be a cheerleader and cheer everybody on. And as it went, I was very fortunate. I was asked to lead each of the presentations and to set the tone and to tell them what I just shared about our rights. And some of us have been educated, you know, through school, but a lot of us been educated by the elders too, who come here and support the leadership on what we're doing. So that's really the role of the center, because I was one of the chiefs in 2009 who supported the center. Because at one time, they used to send us over to Indian Resource Council and Indian Oil and Gas in Alberta, and they're like, maybe we'd get one board seat. But here, now we moved everything over to Saskatchewan. Now we have the say that what the nations are looking for, the priorities that the nations are setting. And it's equity, it's employment, training, but more importantly is what are you going to leave here? What type of damage are you going to leave here for us to clean up? Because usually we're the ones left dealing with the cost of the project, which is like Chief Mercurdy from Fond du Lac used Uranium City as real-time issue down there. Sure, there's a focus on uranium, but don't leave us all the mess to clean up after all the profits are gone. So he's made some very, very powerful statements. So as you go along here, are you at the... So this is the Defense Secretary. She was just confirmed by Congress. A few days on the job, she didn't even know the names of her staff, but on the lower right, what we spoke about to her was warrior societies. You don't need to come and talk to us about defense. We still have warrior societies. And then Chief Wapa spoke to her about emancipation, how when slaves were freed, a lot of the tribes took in these people. They had nowhere to go. So it was a very interesting discussion. Probably one of the best meetings was the Exim Bank, the Export-Import Bank. The lady on the top right, she is the chair. She used to do the tribal negotiations for President Obama. So she was quite familiar. And what I really took away from this trip is that his legacy is still there, because all of those people who run the government, most of them are black ladies. And because of their confirmation of Congress, Trump couldn't get him out, and Biden, so that he left a real impact there. And these types of ladies were really, really supportive of our efforts, our priorities. And just a funny note with the Exim lady, I told her, we're here for a big loan. Please approve it, you're the chair. And then as she was walking, I said, yeah, make sure and certify the check. Sheldon wants to take back a certified check, right? So, yeah, so, you know, in summary, I'll share this with the group that, you know, our inherent rights, they're real, they're very powerful, and they're starting to open doors that were once sealed shut. And not like when we went into the Pentagon, we had security detail in the front of us and one in the back. Like they treated us like who we should be treated as. Wasn't, oh, just go in the wherever. Like they really brought us in, give us red carpet treatment. It wasn't from me or the others. It was our rights that gives you that, all of that treatment. So, and thank you, Marty, and then thank you, Lionel, for your efforts. And it's good to see a room full of people. I imagine as time goes along, there'll be more and more people, because this is a top priority, economic sovereignty balanced with environmental sovereignty, but also First Nation treaty and inherent rights. That will, in my opinion, we hold the trump card. I don't play cards much, yet I'm the chair of SIGA, but I know what a trump card is. So in following up with Darcy's comments, the next door with SIGA, this year we had for profits, the highest profit earnings ever. So we had, our net income was 126 million. We've got 1,500 jobs. So when he said 50% goes out, that's $61 million will go out to the First Nation Trust. So that'll be felt at the community level. So it is, if you got any extra dollars kicking around, don't be afraid to go next door. Thanks again to the committee and everybody. And the chiefs from Manitoba, good to see you, all the chiefs that are here. I know they all think we're rolling in the cash, but we give away a lot of money too. So, ladies and gentlemen, thank you.